How are you lovely people doing today? My name is John and welcome to a great, a fantastic, a wonderful episode of the Zombie Storyline Q&A. Quickie. This is just like the regular Zombie Storyline Q&A where I take your questions about the Zombie Storyline and I answer them. Whether it be a big, a small, or a simple question, I'm more than happy to answer it, except rather than take multiple questions and answer them, what I do is I take one question and I really try to explore it. So that's what's going on behind these Quickie episodes. We're going to kick today's episode off with a question from Sergio Marquez. I apologize if I mispronounce your name, but he said, "Hey John, could you please explain the hand on the power switch? How does it get to most of the power switches in different maps?" So one thing you may find interesting, like I did, was that when I was doing my research, I realized that only a handful of zombie maps have a hand attached to its power switch. In fact, the majority of zombie maps do not have a hand attached to its power switch. The only maps in which you'll find a hand hooked onto the power switch are Deriz, Verrucht, which we'll get to the importance of in a minute, Transit, and Die Rise. Buried, the last map that we've seen with a power switch, does not have a hand attached to it. In fact, none of the Black Ops maps have a hand attached to the power switch, and some maps, of course, like Shinonuma and Mob of the Dead, don't really have power switches or conventional power switches. So the power switches that really have a hand attached to it are in the minority. And we don't exactly know why. I can't give you a reason, nor do I really think there is a big overarching importance to whether or not there is a hand attached to the power switch. We've seen the same power switch throughout a majority of zombie maps, and probably because developers are efficient and it's a symbol we've come to get used to. We always know what the power switch is. We always know what to look for. Why fix what isn't broken? So they always sort of use the same relative power switch. It almost becomes a familiar symbol between every zombie map. The power is what strengthens us, and by being able to easily recognize it, we can better find it. So that's probably why the switch stays the same throughout the entire game, but I can't exactly figure out why some maps have a hand on the switch and some maps don't. But we do have a pretty good idea of where this hand came from. The story of the hand on the power switch begins with the map Verrucht. Within the map Verrucht was a man named Peter McKean, who was an OSS spy sent to infiltrate Group 935. He worked as an undercover research assistant and was eventually transferred to Verrucht. Verrucht got a little bit out of control. People were beginning to suspect that he may have actually been an agent. However, the place was becoming overrun by zombies. In a last-ditch attempt to escape, Peter actually was able to shut down the power switch of the facility, but he lost his hand in the process. That's why the power within Verrucht is off, but his hand is still attached. A zombie must have sort of ripped it off or bitten it off when he was trying to flee the facility. He did eventually escape the facility though, and somehow he worked his way over to Shinonuma, where we actually see his hanging body. You'll notice the body is missing a left hand, and the hand on the power switch within the map Verrucht is a left hand. This is why people believe this is the body of Peter McKean, and it is his hand that is on the map Verrucht. Another indicator that Peter McKean is the man within Shinonuma is because when you play the iOS version of Shinonuma, you'll notice his grave, and when you dig his grave, you'll actually get a Wonder Waff. It's a cool little Easter egg they've included in the iOS version of Shinonuma. However, there is no Hanging Man, so people believe to make up for the lack of Hanging Man, they decided to give him a proper burial within the ground. So rather than him just be hanging, he's buried in the ground. And that's really what makes us think that this is Peter McKean, and it was his hand that was ripped off when he was fleeing the Verrucht facility. So that's about it for this week's episode of the Zombie Storyline Q&A Quickie. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like. Hey, and maybe even subscribe. I upload a couple Zombie Storyline Q&As a week, and if you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll love the next one. If you want, you can submit your questions down in the comments below, or you can tweet me with them at JohnnyJ25. I'm always checking my Twitter, so it's probably one of the best ways to get in touch with me. Anyway, have a wonderful day, and bye.